Presently, we can see many different ways to turn a person into a more productive person. These existing methods include many tools that help you a lot in increasing your productivity. But, the problem is that they focus mainly on small aspects rather than the entire picture. Luckily, Kaizen is seeking to change that norm and turn you into an overall more productive person. So, today's topic is all about the Kaizen. Hello everyone. This is George from Invensis Learning. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today's video is about the Kaizen tutorial for beginners. Now, let us look into the agenda. Let us start the discussion by knowing what Kaizen means. Then we shall take a look into the origin of Kaizen. Next, we shall look into the peculiar aspect of Kaizen, that is duality nature. Moving on, we shall discuss the importance of Kaizen in any organization. Next, we shall discuss some features of Kaizen, and then continue to know some of its principles. Then, we shall talk about some of the best practices of Kaizen. Further, we shall take a look into various types of Kaizen. Next, we shall see some of the interesting examples of Kaizen based on categories. Then, we shall discuss how Kaizen works, and continue to understand the main aspects of Kaizen. Then, we shall discuss the 7 phases of Kaizen. Moving on, we can see various pillars of Kaizen, and end the session by knowing about Kaizen events. So, let's start with the topic. First, let us discuss what is Kaizen. To start with, the word Kaizen, which originated from Japanese, can be split into two, where Kai means change, and Zen means good or better. So, in simpler words, it means change for better, or it can also mean improvement. In fact, to specifically mention, it actually means continuing improvement either in personal, home, social, or maybe in working life. But, Kaizen is mainly concerned with the working life. So, one can define Kaizen as a statistical process control that is used in improving the quality in every aspect of the business. It also applies to processes, like purchasing and logistics, that cross organizational boundaries into the supply chain. Kaizen brings continuous small improvements for the overall organization. It actually aims towards the organization's success. Kaizen not only focuses on the manufacturing sector, but it also includes all other departments as well. As implementing Kaizen tools is not the only responsibility of a single individual, it involves every member who is directly associated with the organization. Each and every individual, irrespective of his/her designation or level in the hierarchy, will contribute by incorporating small improvements and changes for the entire system. Knowing about Kaizen, let us take a tour into the history of Kaizen. Kaizen's history begins after the Second World War, when Toyota first implemented its quality circles in its production process. This implementation influenced American business professionals. But, what does a quality circle mean? A quality circle comprises workers who perform the same or similar work to meet regularly, that identifies, analyzes, and solves work-related problems. This concept gained popularity in Japan in the 1950s. Now, this continues to exist in the form of a Kaizen group. The term Kaizen became famous around the world through the works of Masaaki Imai. Masaaki Imai is a Japanese organizational theorist and management consultant. His work on quality management, specifically on Kaizen, is well known. In 1985 he founded the Kaizen Institute Consulting Group, KICG, that helped Western companies introduce Kaizen's concepts, systems, and tools. Today Kaizen is recognized worldwide as one of the important pillars of an organization's long-term success. Since introducing this term as a systematic approach for business improvement, companies that implement Kaizen have continually yielded greater results. Japanese feel that many small continuous changes in the systems and policies bring effective results than few major changes. After knowing the history of Kaizen, we shall look into one of the peculiar nature of Kaizen, that is duality. The dual nature of Kaizen. One of the greatest benefits of Kaizen is its dual nature. One can see it as a combination of both philosophy and plan. So now, let us discuss these two aspects, that is, as an action plan and part of philosophy. Firstly, Kaizen is an action plan. It is all about organizing events focused on improving specific areas within the company. These events involve teams of employees at every level of the organization. Kaizen emphasizes improving the specific areas of the manufacturing floor. For this, Kaizen involves the floor employees and takes their opinion also. So different plans or arrangements can come from those people too. Kaizen works hand in hand with standardized work also. Standardized work captures the current best practices for a process, and Kaizen aims to find improvements for those processes. Next, Kaizen is a philosophy. Kaizen is a philosophy that sees improvement in productivity as a gradual and methodical process and focuses on continual improvement throughout all aspects of life. Kaizen is a Japanese term meaning change for the better. Kaizen is about a culture where all employees actively suggest and implement improvements to the organization. It becomes a natural way of thinking for both managers and plant floor employees in truly lean companies. It has developed as a natural way of thinking for both the managers and the floor level employees. This philosophy directs them towards continuous improvement. Understanding the duality of Kaizen, let us see some of the Kaizen features that have made their own great success today. Main features of Kaizen. Traditional Japanese used Kaizen to follow 5 basic tenets, which include teamwork, personal discipline, improved morale, quality, and suggestions for improvement. Because of these 5 aspects, Kaizen is now included as a part of every organization. But what are the features of Kaizen? Let us now look into these aspects. Firstly, Kaizen improvements are mainly based on a huge number of small changes rather than the large development at the same time. As Kaizen intakes the workers themselves ideas, they are less likely to be radically different, and it is easy for them to implement. Next, Kaizen moves you from the existing current state to the defined future state that you are expecting for. As already told, small improvements are done. Because of this, it is less likely to require major capital investment than major process changes. Lastly, as Kaizen involves each and every employee of the organization, it encourages the workers to take ownership of their own work and can help them in team working, thereby improving worker motivation. After understanding the features of Kaizen, let us dive into the topic why Kaizen is required. Why Kaizen? Kaizen is an approach to creating continuous improvements. Typically, it is based on cooperation and commitment and stands. Because Kaizen is more like a philosophy than a specific tool, its approach is found in many of the different process improvement methods. While using Kaizen, all the employees are responsible to identify the gaps and inefficiencies. Everyone, at every level in the organization, suggests where improvement can take place. Kaizen mainly aims to improve productivity, effectiveness, and waste reduction, and those who follow the approach can find a lot more in return. Thus there are many advantages to implementing Kaizen at your organization. Now, let us look into those aspects. The first reason is organizational culture. This system of shared values, beliefs, and assumptions governs how individuals behave in a company. Next, human resource. They are people who comprise the workforce of a firm, economy, or business sector. The third aspect is reduces waste. This is used more efficiently as our employee skills. These professionals mainly focus on minimizing wastes. Next, people are more satisfied. As professionals directly impact the way things are done, it directly affects the people by satisfying their needs. The fifth aspect is improved commitment. Team members will be inclined to commit to doing the right job. As they keep on doing this, dedication to the work also increases. Further, we have improved problem solving. Their main job is to minimize the problems and maximize the process efficiency. Thus, looking at processes, they start to solve problems continuously. Next, suggestions for improvement. Providing methods to improve the businesses are done. After knowing the benefits of Kaizen, let us now see various principles that Kaizen follows. Principles of Kaizen. As you might know, the Kaizen method follows 10 specific principles. Following these rules will ensure that your organization will constantly improve itself, grow faster, and create a winning corporate culture. Let us now discuss these principles. The first principle is improve everything continuously. The word Kaizen itself means continuous improvement. So, this becomes the first principle of Kaizen. This means that everything must be continuously improved. The next principle is abolish old, traditional concepts. Implementing old traditional methods for the present trends cannot yield you to the result you are seeking for. So, it is better to adapt to the new technologies by abolishing the old ones. Next in the list of principles, we have see waste and problems as an opportunity. Problems are yours and your organization's biggest opportunity. The more problems you see, the more ideas you can have. You can always turn waste into gold. If you want to be valuable to your company, society, family, and so on, you have to solve problems, fix things, and create value. Next in the principles list, we have if something is wrong, correct it. If you feel that the process of the actions is not going very well, then don't stop it or abolish it. Just change the course of action and correct it. The next one is empower everyone to take part in problem solving. One person may not give you that valid suggestion that can solve the problem. So, it is better to include more professionals in this discussion, so that a variety of adequate problem-solving techniques. The next principle is: be transparent. Show the action to other employees. Be transparent, and let everyone know your daily tasks. It's the metric that measures success. We have. Take opinions from multiple peoples. Including multiple professionals while taking any decision of implementing will help you in making proper decisions. The net principle is: know your customer. Knowing about whom you are selling your product or service is essential. It is key that companies identify their customers' interests to enhance their experience. The next principle would be: know that improvement has no limits. Never stop improving. Try various methods that can help in improving the businesses, and in turn your organization too. Last in the principle list, we have: be economical. Don't use many to implement all the changes at once. Save money through small improvements to spend the saved money on further improvements. As you have understood the principles of Kaizen, let us now look into the best practices of Kaizen management. Best practices for effective Kaizen management. Kaizen management gives a significant edge to your company. It involves lean operations and continuous improvement, two factors that are vital in order to be effective in today's economy. Another major component is empowering your employees to participate in finding opportunities for improvement as well as in finding their solutions. Now we shall discuss some of the best practices of Kaizen. The first practice is: Kaizen is a culture to perform. Kaizen enables change to be effected quickly, creating momentum that carries even through to the next project. It also keeps the energy level high that in turn provides greater engagement on the part of employees. These changes create the building blocks that form the culture of continuous improvement. Next, we have: ensure every employee take part in the decision making. Kaizen is one improvement method, where it includes every employee to work. Because, employees are your greatest asset for ideas and skills, but they believe that their voice isn't heard. Kaizen management also includes employers for identification and implementation. Seeing their position in the company validated gives them the confidence and motivation to continue looking for more opportunities to improve. Then, we have: Kaizen is a better policy. Kaizen management feels that each and every aspect of a company can be improved. As already said, even employees are encouraged to look at established policies and methods. So, it is better not to think about reasons why something can't be done, just ignore conventional limitations and figure out how it can be done. The next practice would be: eliminate waste in all forms. According to Kaizen's philosophy, waste applies to all resources. One resource that can never be replenished is time. So, every action should add some value to the company, and employees should also be encouraged to look for ways to increase efficiency and reduce waste. So, create a workplace in such a way that no unnecessary steps are taken. The next best practice of Kaizen is: never ignore small changes. A better approach gives better results. So, approach change in small, incremental steps. Researchers say that, if you improve by just 1% every day for a year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. So, validate and implement small changes. This can increase the speed to improvement and also reduce the pressures and risks of implementing a major change. Next, we have: do not focus on the goal, focus on the process. Kaizen is based on a philosophy of small, incremental, continuous improvement. When this style is fully operational, it creates a self-sustaining cycle of opportunities and solutions. It also aims at reducing waste of time, money, and other resources. Goal-oriented management mainly focuses on controlling action, which leads to less success, while, on the other hand, Kaizen is highly flexible and adaptive. It meets a predefined number and continuously improving any term. Also, Kaizen looks at the big picture, while goal-oriented management is more narrowly focused on the short term. Then, the next practice would be: perform a standardized work. In order for improvements to last, they must be standardized and repeatable. Standardizing work is crucial to Kaizen because it builds a baseline for improvement. So, perform standard works, like, once you make improvements to a process, then, document the new standard work in order to sustain the improvements and then create a new baseline. Standard work also reduces variability in processes and promotes discipline, which is essential for continuous improvement efforts to take root. The next best practice to be pointed out is: enforce improvements. Enforcing the changes you've made to your processes is very much important for the improvements you've made to last. One method of doing this is documenting improvements. that make sure that your standard work is up to date, and training employees on new procedures can help sustain the progress you have made in your continuous improvement efforts. The last practice is create your own guidelines. There are various guidelines available, but having your own guidelines will help you a lot as you can personally understand your company's Kaizen journey. Reflecting on your Kaizen efforts after improvements have been implemented is an important part of the continuous improvement cycle. As you reflect on your efforts, build your own Kaizen guidelines. Start by creating guidelines based on your own experiences improving the workplace. Also, keep in mind that these guidelines should be for your colleagues, your successors, and yourself that can ultimately help you in facing your difficulties. After understanding the 10 principles of Kaizen, let us now talk about the types of Kaizen. Types of Kaizen. We already know that Kaizen is implemented in an organization to bring a better change. To make all these happen, many Kaizen types are used. Some are short-term goal-oriented, and some may be long-term. Now let us discuss those Kaizen methods. First, we have Point Kaizen. Point Kaizen is one of the most commonly implemented types of Kaizen. This is a very quick approach that can be implemented without much planning. The term Point Kaizen is often associated with discrete events in a department or organization. As soon as something is broken or incorrect, quick and immediate measures can be taken to correct the issues. These measures may be small, isolated, and easy to implement. But they can have a huge impact on the system's productivity. Sometimes, it is also possible that the positive effects of Point Kaizen in one area can reduce the benefits of Point Kaizen in some other area. An example of Point Kaizen could be a medical shop inspection by a superior officer. He finds broken materials or other small issues and then asks the shop owner to perform a quick Kaizen, 5S, to rectify those issues. The next one is Line Kaizen. Line Kaizen is usually referred to as the spreading of lean from the point. That is, it refers to utilizing lean techniques in both streams of the organization, and forming a line between the two. For example, Kaizen might be applied to a point, and also to another process. Those 2 points constitute a line Kaizen. Like, a short-term Kaizen event might be implemented in the planning department of the organization, and also another point Kaizen is applied in the procurement department. Planning is upstream from procurement, which directly affects procurement, and constitutes line Kaizen. The next type of Kaizen is System Kaizen. System Kaizen is to address system-level problems in an organization. It is one of the upper-level strategic planning methods. It is used to develop a vision for the whole organization's future state, leveraging concepts like value stream maps that will result in some planned Kaizen events over a long period. It is in contrast to Point Kaizen, which happens as a result of the identification of a small issue that is resolved in a short period. Systems Kaizen identifies areas to use process Kaizen. Executing system-level Kaizen requires long-term coordination of multiple interrelated Kaizen events. Plain Kaizen is the next type of Kaizen. It is the next upper level of line Kaizen. It is usually called value streams that are several lines connected together. One can see that changes or improvements made to one line get implemented to other lines or processes present in the plane. The last type is Cube Kaizen. Cube Kaizen refers to a situation where all points of the planes are connected to each other, which usually looks like a cube. There is no disconnection between processes. This may result in lean processes across the whole organization. Improvements are made across every part of the organization, starting from up and down streams, including the entire organization and suppliers. This might require some changes in the standard business processes as well. After understanding different types of Kaizen, and their examples, we shall now discuss the differences between the two terms Kaizen and Poka-Yoke. Difference between Poka-Yoke and Kaizen. Often, people have heard both these terms, but as they sound different, they also mean differently. Kaizen and Poka-Yoke both originated from the Toyota Production System, TPS. But, you might be wondering, how are they different from each other? Now, let us explore the difference between Kaizen and Poka-Yoke. Kaizen is a Japanese word that translates to improving the bad points or making them better. In fact, Kaizen's philosophy focuses on changing for the better which cannot be accomplished without continuous improvement. It is a change in mindset which helps people understand and realize their true potential and improve themselves. On the other hand, Poka-Yoke is another term that was born in Japan at Toyota only. This mainly focuses on zero quality control. Zero quality control is a method of correcting and preventing any possible defects in production using a combination of Poka-Yoke techniques. Also, they differ in the principles they follow. Kaizen mainly deals with continuous improvement, whereas Poka-Yoke deals with mistake proofing. Similarly, Kaizen implements small changes for improving efficiency and productivity, whereas Poka-Yoke tries to reduce the errors and mistakes to perform the same. While performing Kaizen, every employee ranging from CEO to the assembly workers are involved, but Poka-Yoke only involves management-level employees. After getting to know about the types of Kaizen, now, we shall look into some of its examples. Examples of Kaizen. Before I start explaining to you the examples of Kaizen, I shall tell you how Kaizen is categorized. Typically, Kaizen is categorized into 3 types. They are restorative Kaizen, innovative Kaizen, and innovative Kaizen. Let me now give you examples of Kaizen, based on these categories. Now, we shall start with restorative Kaizen. Here, improvement is done for the restoration of systems or processes. An example of this type of Kaizen is: before, car drivers faced difficulties while doing reverse parking. This was because, every time he or she moved back, he had to look towards that side, and then take an action. Now, we can see that automated mirrors are placed inside the car, and the drivers can easily apply the reverse gear and park their vehicle without much effort. Next, we have renovative Kaizen. In this category of Kaizen, improvement is done to get a better change in the existing system or process. Before, people watched television, those TVs used more place and the level of clarity was too less. Now, the TV which we get is the flat HD TV, which uses less place with more features. Thus, the renovation has occurred. The next category is innovative Kaizen. Here, technological change occurs. That is, the entire change occurs while implementing the Kaizen. The best example of this would be storing images. Before, we could see reels where the photographer stored all his images. Later, CD came into existence, where they copied all the files into that. Later, when innovation in technology began, pen drive came into existence. After knowing all these aspects of Kaizen, we also should not forget to learn how Kaizen works. So, now let's discuss this. How Kaizen works. Employees and other top professionals use scientific methods to improve their own tasks to increase their efficiency. Some businesses use daily Kaizen, whereas some other businesses use Kaizen Events, and some other businesses use a combination of both of these. Kaizen may also be performed on a daily basis and goes beyond improving productivity. Daily Kaizen is nothing but everyone present in the organization participates as a part of daily work. When some employee finds a defect, he or she checks whether that abnormality results from standards not being followed or the result of an inadequate standard. Then he or she thinks about ways for improving their present situation. These ideas can be simple or complicated based on the situation. Most Kaizen methods are found to be of less cost and low risk, so when an idea doesn't work out, people can follow these basic steps for carrying out their daily Kaizen. Identify the problem. Analyze, and discuss the situation with others. Try out the idea by any of the methods. Implement this if it suits your situation, else starts planning once again. Knowing how Kaizen works, let us now talk about the main aspects of Kaizen. Main aspects of Kaizen. As already you know, Kaizen means continuous improvement. It encourages small but continuous changes that can be seen as the day progresses. Kaizen is easy to start with, as it just requires little money, some common sense, and commitment from all employees. Now let us look into the main aspects of Kaizen. The first aspect is continuous process. Kaizen is a gradual and soft process. This mainly aims at continuous process improvement. The next one is quality. Kaizen aims at designing quality results. Because, in the end, it only needs continuous improvement of the company. The third aspect is SMART goals. These are goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. The last aspect would be willingness to change. Employees must adapt to change with the new technologies and environment. Due to this, continuous improvement can be found. After knowing the primary aspects of Kaizen, let us the 7 phases of Kaizen. Phases of Kaizen. Kaizen is one of the best continuous improvement processes. One of the major advantages of Kaizen is that it is continuous and not a time-bound process. Kaizen accepts that more optimization is always possible, and it helps empower employees and managers to implement Kaizen in their organization. Because of the benefit of continuous improvement, many managers and business owners want to implement Kaizen in their organization. In the process of improving the organization's success, one must follow certain steps. So, how do you do that? Here are the steps to implement Kaizen in your organization. Identify a problem. Collect the facts. Analyze the system. Develop an appropriate solution. Implement the solution. Verify the results. Now, let us understand each of these steps in detail. The first step is identifying the problems. For this, you need to take feedback from every employee present in your company. Then, list out all the processes within the organization that requires improvements. These problems may be included from the customer service department, the production department, the finance department, or any other place where improvements are necessary. You can list out the problems and issues in a to-do place. If you think problems are too many, then, to make your work easy, just shortlist the top 10 problems. Soon after that, proceed with them. Remember that Kaizen is a continuous process, and you will come back to the remaining problems later. But it is necessary to start with a small set of problems and then keep improving by focusing on big issues. The next step in the process is collecting the facts. To implement Kaizen in your organization, you need to involve and motivate your employees. Then, create a workplace that does not resist change. Soon after getting to know the issue in the first step, you must start collecting necessary information regarding the same. To do this, you need your employees' full cooperation, and communications between management and employees are critical. Kaizen has the concept of quality circles, wherein there are specific circles of employees from various departments responsible for the firm's holistic improvement slowly but gradually. So, include these professionals and gather all the data you think to be analyzed regularly. Then start to measure the facts, then map the value of the STEAM processes. The third step is analyzing the system. Once you understood the problems and collected adequate data for the same, you must start analyzing the system. One way to bring this out is by making managers form teams of experienced creative employees who can focus on analyzing the situation. Make sure that these employees dedicate specific time to analyzing the problems that the firm is facing. Also, keep in mind that the time frame is critical. Then, note down the solutions, and by using your own experience and the experience of the team, shortlist the suggestions that can make the most sense to the problem you have found. Soon after analyzing the system, you have to develop an appropriate solution. After analyzing the process and collecting the data, you have to find an appropriate solution. The group of managers and employees involved in the analyzing step can also be involved here. Their main aim in this step is to figure out an adequate solution to improve the organization. Even here, you must note that time is critical. Then, the points noted down in the previous step can be used to formulate solutions. The fifth step in the process is implementing the solution. While implementing, it's better to start on a small-scale basis because it is the best way to test out new theories, especially for the larger organizations. Many people get delayed in this stage because of overthinking, complacency, or plain ignorance. They think of making organization-wide changes instead of taking small steps at a time and running new ideas in a pilot environment. In a similar fashion, the implementation can be done in a planned and manner too. If the ideas need to develop a bit more, then, by all means, hold your excitement and develop the idea on the table before implementing it in the organization. However, a planned and controlled implementation is important for an idea, as the results can be tracked. The last step in the process is verifying the implemented process. During implementation, there is just communication of ideas to juniors, wherein the buck is passed to someone else. Because of this, it is difficult to implement Kaizen, and where checking and auditing come into play. So, it would be better than if you ensure that proper implementation is done to the ground level so that the results are also as expected. As a manager, you will be the responsible person for this implementation. So you can appoint the task to a team leader who can implement it in the team, keep tracking the progress, and then revert back to the manager. From time to time, audits are needed to be conducted, and the progress needs to be found out. Thus, finding the results is the main objective of this exercise. After knowing the process of Kaizen, now let us see the pillars of Kaizen. Pillars of Kaizen. According to Masaaki Yamai, a Japanese expert in Kaizen management practices and philosophies and an organizational theorist, Kaizen is based on 3 pillars. Now, let us get to know about these pillars. The first one is housekeeping. Housekeeping is nothing but the process of managing gemba, that is a Japanese term for the workplace, for continuous improvement. For proper housekeeping, the 5S framework is used. So what is 5S? The term 5S is derived from the first letters of various Japanese words known as 5 practices that lead to a clean workstation. 5S is a workplace organization method that uses a list of 5 Japanese words, seri, saitan, saizo, seiketsu, and shitsuke. These have been translated as sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. The next pillar is waste elimination. Any non-value-adding resource is classified as muda, a Japanese word meaning waste. Kaizen mainly aims at reducing these wastes. It seeks to improve business processes by eradicating the 7 types of waste that are identified in lean management. So, what are the 7 wastes as identified in lean management? Waste of transportation. Waste of waiting. Waste of overprocessing. Waste of motion. Waste of defects. Waste of overproduction. So, how to eliminate these wastes? Kaizen has 5 waste elimination principles. Let us now look into that. Kaizen identifies the root cause of the 7 types of waste that were mentioned, and has encountered 5 Kaizen waste elimination principles and improving processes to eradicate them. Those principles are: make the waste visible. Identify waste in each workstation. Be aware of waste. Measure the waste. Improve the processes that help in eradicating the waste. By taking these necessary steps, helps in minimizing the wastes. The last one is standardization. Standard work leads you to the safest, highest quality tasks. Similarly, standardization is the practice of setting, communicating, following, and improving standards in standard work. One of the best ways to achieve consistent results and minimize mistakes is to follow the standard work. To improve the results, we have to improve the process. But we need to have standards in place before we try to improve it. That is why standardization is one of the earlier steps. After knowing the 3 pillars of Kaizen, we shall try learning the term Kaizen Events. What are Kaizen Events? The Apex Dictionary defines a Kaizen event as the implementation arm of a lean manufacturing program. Kaizen events are natural outgrowths, and one of the most powerful ways to operationalize process improvement training and create momentum in an organization. These Kaizen events typically are carried out in 1 week. In other words, it's all about action. This involves breaking down a process, removing the unnecessary elements, and then putting it back together in a new and improved way. The process should now work more smoothly and fully utilize the skill sets of everyone involved. Kaizen events are traditionally short-term brainstorming and implementation methods that are used to improve the existing processes. Employees, managers, and even C-level owners get together to map out existing processes, discuss ways these processes can be improved, and then determine action items within the operator's scope. But, why are Kaizen events performed? The main reason for performing a Kaizen event is to eliminate waste. There are mainly 7 basic types of waste to be targeted. These wastes are already discussed in the previous topics of this video. Next, they focus on the things that can make changes a customer values. Kaizen events are also an efficient way to quickly improve a process with a low sigma score. Kaizen events are used for convincing organizations new to Six Sigma of the methodology's value. But, do you know what steps are to be followed in the Kaizen events? Now, let us talk about that. Usually, a Kaizen event begins when a problem is already defined, or with a process, product, or area that may need improvement is already identified. The Kaizen event follows 4 basic steps. First, select the team members and set a time and place for performing the Kaizen event. Second, examine and map the processes that are to be improved. Then, develop proper ideas for improvements. And, finally, implement the improvements, and evaluate them. Areas that are targeted by Kaizen events are: areas where there is a significant bottleneck or delay. Areas where everything is a mess. The uncompleted stage. Areas that have a significant market or financial impact. Products or services for which quality or performance does not meet customer expectations. Products or processes with substantial work in progress. The concept of Kaizen encompasses a wide range of ideas. It involves making a work environment more efficient and effective by creating a team atmosphere, improving everyday procedures, ensuring employee satisfaction, and making a job more fulfilling, less tiring, and safer. This method can be used to improve any firm's results and can also be used in your personal life. Today, Kaizen is recognized worldwide as an important pillar of an organization's long-term competitive strategy. Kaizen is continuous improvement that is based on certain guiding principles. Kaizen is not just a process improvement methodology or waste management process, it's a managerial mindset. This process involves every worker in the organization trying their best to commit to one small improvement on a regular basis. By properly implementing Kaizen at your workplace, you can achieve a good amount of positive results in various aspects of your business. If you guys think we have missed mentioning any topic, please mention it in the comment section. After understanding the importance of Kaizen, now is time to get a certification and upskill yourself. We can help. At Invensis Learning, we provide live online Kaizen certification training course. Visit the Invensis Learning website to know more about this.